Hello, everyone. I'm Travis.
This is Jonathan.
And we'd like to welcome you to the 100 Ways to Love a Cat podcast.
That's the podcast that eventually plays the song 100 Ways to Love a Cat.
And that will be coming up directly. Right now, I think we have a little explaining to do, I suppose. Jonathan, I owe you an apology. I need to tell you now, you suggested that going to see a psychic, the one I picked, Madame Ikea. I guess you're implying all psychics. You weren't just saying Madame Ikea.
I'm just saying I don't believe in them. And also, if you mess around with dark forces, who knows what sort of entity or black magic or monsters could be conjured up.
We found it necessary, or I should say I found it necessary to go see a psychic, Madame Ikea, concerning something I don't even remember anymore. I don't even want to talk about it.
It was a 50-listener challenge.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Shelby and Pierre. We were trying to get to the bottom.
Well, at this point,
I mean, we owe somebody a T-shirt.
Well,
we still have to.
You know,
I know there's a lot going
care?
on.
I don't. First off, let me say, Madame Ikea, if you're listening, you were quite rude.
She touched everything we took out of the bag.
She wanted to keep it. Some of it for a week, some of it indefinitely is the impression that I got. And I was like, I cannot give you my iPhone. You sure you can touch it, you can look at it. First off, she wanted my iPhone, and certainly, like, here you are. And then she was touching it, and then she wanted the code to get into it, which I don't see why that's necessary. Why did I need to open up the iPhone for her?
Then she kept asking you who was in all of your pictures.
Well, if she's a psychic, she should know.
She was just scrolling through, and she says, "Who's this?
What do they do? How long have you known this person?" You tell me, Madame Ikea. And then she did the same with Jonathan's phone.
It was funny because there were so many. Most of my pictures are of you and me, and I don't know how many times I had to tell her that that's Travis. He's right there.
I'm sitting right here in front of you. It's obvious who it is.
So that's when I was like, well, welcome to Malarkey Town, population me and Travis. I knew we should have just sent them 2 T-shirts, and we would have solved the whole problem.
Again, you're right. At this point, you might as well have. I'd be out the price of 2 T-shirts at Target or whatever, unless somebody wanted some specialty T-shirts you can only get from, which I would just have to say, I'm sorry, that's not available.
Also, she kept touching my arm, and you said that she wasn't going to do any of that.
I made it clear to Madame Ikea that we appreciated psychics who kept their hands to themselves, unlike Mr. Christopher Walken in Dead Zone, who just handsy, feely, grabbing everybody in that.
Now, I mean, she wasn't really, I guess, if you were just talking to someone who you had just met and they would touch your arm lightly when they made a joke or they asked who it was in the picture they were looking at, and you said, "That's Travis for the 100th time," and then they'd laugh and touch your arm. It was like that, but I think because we were so specific about not touching at all, that any touching seemed out of place. And then she talked about her accident.
Which I was told
detail.
She didn't have any accident. I thought she was just bestowed the gift of second sight naturally, or a birth or whatever. No. She had how many operations? Several operations. She had pins in her neck. I mean,
her knees still aren't right.
That's what she says. But she was in multiple car crashes, and
she talked about the lawsuits and how much money she'd made off of all of them.
Yeah, she sued. She fell in a department store. That was a separate. But she said all of these are, credited to her ability. Like each one, she became more powerful the more that she was hurt in a public place that she could turn around and
She was drunk, and she drove her car into a garbage truck, and she sued the city of Lancaster, and she won.
And she had a what was the DUI level? I don't even remember. She told me.
Well, the thing was that the garbage men were drunk, too.
Ah. Well, however you get your power, that's not for me to judge. That's between you and God or whatever. But she did say that Pierre was telling the truth, but at this point, I don't know if I believe her.
And when we packed up our electronics to take them home, she was really upset. She really thought she had a brand new laptop.
She was under the impression that she needed to keep my phone for a week. What are you going to do with someone's phone for a week? That doesn't make any sense. I guess run up the data on it. What else? I don't know. But yeah, she was upset. We took a tablet, we took our laptop, we took our phones, and she thought, hey, I hit the jackpot here.
I took a Blu-ray player just in case. I didn't know how long we were going to be there.
She wanted it too.
I said, this was just in case I got bored. And she said, I'm bored.
Well, she wanted it until we told her it was a regular Blu-ray player. She asked if it was the the 4K high definition.
I didn't even know what that was.
I don't either. But
I had to look it up on my phone.
Just a regular.
Which I barely got out of there.
I know it.
But she was furious.
She was a terribly, terribly rude individual, psychic or not. And tell you what, sure, we would all like to have X-Men ability or be able to see beyond. That'd be great. But if I had to trade my attitude for that, if I had to be a grouch, no thank you. I'll stay in the dark concerning all that.
Don't say dark. Because of my nightmares.
What? Nightmares?
Well, because every night since went to see Madame Ikea, the psychic, every night I dream about the white-faced little girl with the sharp teeth in my closet.
That's just you. And see, I'm having those dreams too, but I think that's because
of the same white-faced girl?
Yeah, the same. We discussed this.
With no eyes?
No eyes.
But she looks right through you?
She looks right through you with her no eyes. But it's because you keep talking about it, and that's just getting to me, and that's what it is. So don't, because after being with someone who has quote-unquote psychic abilities or whatever, I'm like you. I think it's all bunk. I think it's just a bunch of a bull.
Flim-flam.
Yeah. But for whatever reasons, you're having these dreams, you're telling me about it, and when I think goes out, I'm having them now too because you've talked about it so much.
I don't believe in any of this hocus pocus either. But I do think an entity was conjured up by Madame Ikea, the psychic, and attached itself to us, and is haunting us, and is going to bring us no end of black magic.
Well, I don't know about
grief.
I don't know about any of that. Anyway, we have 53 new listeners. We don't mean to bore you. Regardless who's responsible for you, we're glad that you're here, and we know why you're here. So let's just get to it. Here is 100 Ways to Love a Cat. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 1. Keep a tidy house for them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 2. Be sure to clip their claws. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 3. Scoop their box daily. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 4. Brush them with a hairbrush. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 5. Don't squeeze their paws hard. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 6. Give them some fresh water. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 7. Let them have a fish. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 8. Buy them a scratching post. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 9. Put them in your lap. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 10. Be quiet when they're sleeping. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 11. Whisper, I love you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 12. Rub their soft belly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 13. Make sure their tail is clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 14. Give them a yarn ball. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 15. Make them a nice bed. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 16. Buy him some catnip. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 17. Play them some music. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 18. Get them a cute collar. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 19. Make sure they're vaccinated. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 20. Take their picture. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 21. Brush their teeth. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 22. Let them watch TV. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 23. Don't let them be outside by themselves. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 24. Feed them some cat food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 25. Make sure their eyes are clean. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 26. Put a liner in their box. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 27. Give them a mat to wipe their feet on. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 28. Don't forget them on Christmas. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 29. Make sure they're spayed or neutered. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 30. Hold them like a baby. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 31. Let them have a towel or blanket. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 32. Keep your toilet lid down. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 33. Don't let them chew on power cords. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 34. Set them by the window. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 35. Cat-proof your home. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 36. Change their litter weekly. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 37. Praise them lavishly. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 38. Never feed him chicken bones. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 39. Teach them a funny trick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 40. Give them a toy mouse. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 41. Clean up their hairballs. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 42. Keep them away from candles. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 43. Give him a separate zone. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 44. Never play with them aggressively. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 45. Increase his cuddle time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 46. Be sure to watch his weight. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 47. If you leave, turn on the radio. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 48. Scold him firmly but with kindness. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 49. Respond when he meows. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 50. Give them a thing of cat grass. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 51. Scratch under his chin. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 52. Remind him that you love him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 53. Give them a box to play in. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 54. If they're old, help them get down. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 55. Let them lick you with their rough tongue. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 56. Record precious memories. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 57. Dress them up in ribbons. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 58. Give them a flea treatment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 59. Make a vet appointment. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 60. Give them a little wet food. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 61. When they scratch you, don't get angry. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 62. Give them some private time. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 63. Treat them with respect. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 64. When he grooms himself, say good job. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 65. Let them chase a laser pointer. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 66. Clean out their ears. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Wait, 67. Never smoke around them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 68. Buy a sturdy cat carrier. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 69. Listen to them purr. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 70. Dented by temptations. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 71. Give them your full attention. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 72. Don't trap them in the laundry basket. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 73. Let them sleep in bed with you. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 74. Make sure they're not locked in the closet. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 75. Don't let them play in plastic bags. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 76. Give them a massage. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 77. Touch him as you pass by. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 78. If he's on the couch, don't be mad. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 79. If they hate fans, turn the fan off. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 80. When there's a bird outside, say, hey, look. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 81. Intrigue them with a funny sound. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Weigh 82. Don't forget sardine time, 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 83. Let him play with your old socks. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 84. Stroke in the direction that his fur goes. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 85. Admire his long whiskers. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 86. Keep his box away from his food. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 87. Pretend that he's a piano. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 88. Don't interrupt them while they're eating. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 89. When they're scared, go and comfort them. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 90. Let him have a lick. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 91. If their breath stinks, give them greenies. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 92. Give him a ball with a bell in it. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 93. If it's hot, put ice in their bowl. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 94. Let him drink out of the sink. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 95. Don't vacuum if it scares him. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 96. Draw a picture of him. 100 loving ways. 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 There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 97. If you drop some food, it's theirs now. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 98. Read him a book. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 99. Feed him again. 100 loving ways. There are 100 ways to love a cat. 100 loving ways. Way 100. Just love them every day. 100 loving ways. 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 I needed to hear that today. That's a load off of me when I hear that song and I just kind of close everything else out, all the negativity.
All the black magic.
Oh, well.
It's like when you go to, I don't know, where your favorite bar, Applebee's or TGI Fridays or
Logan's.
And you sit down at the bar and you order up that first margarita and you take a sip and you're just like, and your whole body relaxes. This is not a commercial for alcohol, but I guess in a way it is. It feels like that. This song is like alcohol,
which is much
healthier,
healthier than alcohol. Because if you drink a lot, you can hurt parts of your body. Whereas, as far as I know, this song, depending on the decibel level that you have, it will not harm anything.
It's true. Just ask the Garbagemen of Lancaster.
What?
That Madame Ikea ran her car into.
Oh, that's right. Why didn't you bring her up again? I was over that. And
sorry.
It's okay.
Hey,
it's okay.
I guess we need to send Pierre a T-shirt, or is that
I don't
just
even
over?
know. I think it's just over.
We went to a lot of trouble.
I don't know who to thank or
discern.
who to say, but yeah, we went through a lot of trouble. What did you learn?
I learned that can you stay over again tonight? Because I'm terrified. That closet is a no-go zone for me.
Yeah, sure. I'll come over. You want to watch a movie or something? We can.
Sure.
Have you seen The Nun?
I love like religious stories. Is
No,
it like
it's a scary
Bing
thing.
Crosby?
I thought if we want something scary, it would seem scarier than these, whatever it is you're thinking is happening.
It's not like one of those. I thought it was either about like a bunch of orphaned children, or it was like one
I
of
honestly
those,
don't know what it's about. I think it's about a monster nun.
Didn't they make a series of movies that were like The Cross and The Church and the Stable?
Years ago, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was maybe one of those. It tells you like who was the
No,
first
this
nun.
one- this is,
I don't know anything about any of that.
Well, no, this is the Conjuring universe, the Conjuring movies.
Oh, well, those are good too.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Well, thanks so much for listening. If you want to, Jonathan, we can watch that or whatever you want to watch.
Yeah,
I'm happy
that
to
sounds
come over.
like that may just be a little hair of the dog, something to cure my fear of the white-faced, no-eyed, sharp-toothed little girl in my closet.
Well, see, it's completely different because this is a nun. It's not a little girl, and I think the nun has. I haven't seen it. I think the nun has eyes.
Okay, yeah, we can watch that.
All right, thank you, and we hope you come back and join us next week for the 100 Ways to Love a Cat podcast.